Because this was my very first in-person event and we made history, we sold out 300 tickets in the middle of New York City, I wanted to do something very special for the attendees, and therefore I gave them an all-exclusive look at my very own launch plan. This launch plan has stuck with me from my very first digital product to the Creative College multi-million-dollar empire that we're building today. In total, it has generated me $10 million. In this launch plan, I am giving it to all of you as well for the very first time publicly. It will walk you through exactly why your current launch plans do not work, and it's because you're actually viewing them as a singular event versus seeing it as an entire dynamic process. The moment that you can understand this four-step cycle, something quite beautiful happens. You start making money without needing to force it, without needing to sound salesy. The goal for every creator should be to grow and monetize simultaneously, and I truly believe that this launch plan allows you to do that. If you enjoy this, make sure that you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and leave any questions in the comments below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this video.
I'm going to walk you through my own launch plans and how I've been able to, every single launch, make a lot of money while not turning off my audience. Who in here is struggling with a launch at the moment? Who in here has struggled with a launch before? The reason why you're struggling, I guarantee it, is because you think a launch is a singular event. You think a launch is a singular launch post, and you're wondering why no one is buying. You're telling people it's live, and you're like, like a Jenna, you're a perfect example of it. Hey, I have a lot of followers, so because 20,000 people watch my content, all 20,000 people are gonna buy. That's definitely not the case. What a launch really is that it's a full process. It's fully dynamic. It involves a full bird's eye view from a systematic standpoint, and I'm about to walk you through an all-exclusive launch plan. It's the all-encompassing of everything that we've talked about today. So if there's something that you guys want to write down, and if there's something that you want to make sure that you walk home with, it is your own launch plan. Your launch plan is a combination of a lot that we've spoken about. Number one, your content strategy, aka your creator vision. And then number two, can you build that in public prior to launch? Number three, a launch sequence. I'm going to give you a launch sequence for a full week. And then in addition, your post-launch plan. If you can understand this four-step process, I promise you, not only will you have a significantly bigger launch, but you can then still make sales recurringly. You don't have to think, I have a huge spike and that's all I have. Here we go. So step one, the 4 words that I am always going to be speaking aloud is, that is your content strategy and growth. That's why we covered it in the first panel. The creator vision, your what, your who, your why, your personal brand is the intersection of what you say, who you say it to, and why it matters to you. Remember the various content pillars I've given you, the demographic, psychographic, and the 3 Ps. So what does this actually look like? Here we go. Your creator vision is going to allow you to experiment with a broad range of content without limiting your creativity, while allowing your life to resemble what you were teaching others to do. But I guarantee you are going to find a messaging angle, a topic, a skill that is significantly more relevant to your audience than the others. And if you align to that skill, meaning that AKA you have choices, you have options, and you want to choose to productize it, then the 4 missions of content needs to be done. Per that skill, you would have an attract, nurture, position, and conversion content. Meaning that every single one of those topics at the bottom of your creative vision can actually have all 4 missions in play. If you're going to productize one of them, attract, nurture, position, and convert, you can utilize the sequence that I gave to you earlier. Does that make sense? So that's part 1, everything that we've already talked about. Cool? Step 2, who has heard of this concept of building in public? I believe most people do it wrong, and I think it's important that you actually do it though. And I'm gonna walk you through how all of you guys should try and experience it. Why is building in public important? Because in the state where you don't have the selling pressure, you have to maximize that experience. If you are afraid of sounding too salesy, if there's no pressure to sell, you have to make use of that experience. There's that rule of 7 in marketing, which states that someone needs to see your product 7 times before making a purchasing decision. You need your product in front of your audience's eyes. You need to showcase that there was significant effort that went into that product, that you care about it, as Kenzie and Jenna talked about in terms of making a no-brainer for people. There's a lot of thought that went into it. There was iterations of it, redesigns of it, because they wanted to make it good for the viewer, and then it gives you visibility, right? Visibility without any pressure to sell. Does that make sense? Because now I'm gonna walk you through how often you should do this. If you're in your building in public stage, I recommend once per week on minimum that you do one of these 5 things that's behind me. Either a day in life, how much money has been invested, research, progress, or mistakes. Ask for feedback. And here's how you're gonna ask for feedback. Features, changes, prices, launch date, design. Ask for feedback. Ask for it. Why? Because it's proving to your audience that you care about what they're going to decide upon. In fact, when I did the whole guide to academic success, that whole thing was designed through my stories. I told every single person, I said, hey, what do you think about the cover photo? Hey, what do you think about this subsection? Hey, what do you think about this? And I'm asking for feedback. Why? Because one, it makes them feel like they're involved. It makes it feel like they have domain around the work that you have, which is good. You want shared interest. But in addition, guess what you get to do? You get to, before your product is live, capture DMs to highlight interest. This is huge. The biggest issue is that when you have a new product at hand, guess what? You do not have the testimonials yet. You don't have the reviews yet to put on your landing page. So how do you muster up that demand or urgency? You do this. Because when you post this on your stories, people will naturally DM you. You might need one per week, and by the time that you have launched, you now have 15 different DMs that you've screenshotted from real people stating that they want it. If they're the only 15 people that have stated that they want it, no one will know. Everyone will think like, holy cow, 15 people. There's 15 stories of all people saying that they want this thing. Most people must want this thing. Does that make sense? So building in public needs to be done strategically. And then here's the sequence of the launch plan. In the morning, at 9 a.m., we have a feed post, a carousel that goes live. It announces the launch. But there's an urgency play. There always needs to be urgency if you are going to do an early bird offer. Maybe you're doing discount for the first 200 people. Maybe it's physical inventory, so you're actually selling out. Maybe it's a limited number of pre-orders. Then, about 10 minutes later, we will post a story. We'll post a story to announce the launch as well. Same urgency play. Then at 11 a.m., when the attention starts to wane or the traffic starts to wane on our landing pages, we're sending out email number one. So Sean talked about how you have lead magnets. It's because of this. You want to, at your launch sequence, have this to pull from. Email number one, you're announcing launch with the urgency. So all three of these at the top. Now you have segmented your audience. The people that are the warmest on your story now have seen it. The people on your feed have seen it. And now also on your emails, they have seen it. Urgency play is all intact. It's the same urgency. Now, at 12 p.m., how do you then do another story, but you don't want to do another urgency play. You want to do it in a way that's cool. You want to do it in a way that makes you feel like you're actually introducing emotion to it. So it's what I call a story number two, DMs, and you're highlighting that demand. So if someone DM'd you at that time, or maybe they didn't DM you and they didn't buy, you could actually utilize some of the pre-requested building in public snapshots that you have and actually post that here. So you're basically stating like, oh my goodness, I'm so proud of the demand. Like I'm so excited for this. I can't believe that people care about this the way that I care about it. Phenomenal. Then story number three at 3 p.m. goes live, and it's our reaction to the launch in full, right? So how is the launch actually like? Like, are we exhausted? Are we tired? We're still making our offer omnipresent, but we're doing it with a different angle. And then finally at 9 p.m., there's another reel that comes live that announces the launch with the same urgency play as above. But this is why. I'm gonna walk you through exactly why that launch plan works, and it's worked for us every single time, no matter what product I've ever sold. At 9 a.m., the carousel goes live. Guess what happens to the traffic on your landing pages? It goes up, especially if you've done your building in public properly. It goes up. But you want to keep your offer omnipresent. You don't want to have a big spike in your morning and then it wanes and you're like, ah, shoot, like I made use of launch one, but who cares, right? If launch day two is a struggle. So instead, you're looking at it and you're like, all right, the traffic has increased, but as it starts to plateau, right, like there's going to be immediate spike, then you're posting another story to give it another peak right here. But then naturally, that's going to wane once more, and that's when you're introducing email number one. Again, same experience is going to happen where you increase traffic onto your pages. And then in addition, you're going to match that with another story and you're going to have another peak. Does that make sense for everyone up to this point in time and why I'm teaching you all of this? Then it's going to dip quite a lot because story two and story three are not necessarily targeting directly to your audience as in like go buy, but it's doing it more subtly. So it's going to wane. But again, you're buying yourself room to do more urgency plays for the next following days. As this starts to wane, then it's going to have a dip. Your reel, when you post at night, is going to carry more traffic because reels have more exposure normally than carousels. It's going to boost us up to a peak. And by the time that you wake up, it's time again for day two, and you will repeat this initial cycle. Does that make sense for everyone? So when you are launching, I want you to really realize that there needs to be a way to keep your offer omnipresent. You need to do it in a way that doesn't sound too salesy, meaning that you're doing it from different angles, your reactions to the product, your reactions to the demand, your reactions to the launch. But this buys you time because when you repeat this the following day, right, day 2 begins, the same process will undergo. You will then do another carousel that maybe does another urgency play or the same urgency play. So you might have said the first 300 people that get X will receive Y. Then maybe you're stating there's 100 spots left, 150 spots left, 170 spots left. And you repeat the same cycle in terms of carousel, story, email, story, reel, and then the following day begins. I usually recommend a 4-day launch sequence where you have 4 days worth of content planned or prepared for something like this. Does that make sense for everyone? Was that helpful for you guys? Post-launch plan, this is quite simple, but you simply don't want to go to bed and be like, cool, I had a successful launch. I don't really care about anything else. You want to be sure that the next launch you do is as successful. So you have to collect reviews, meaning that you're posting stories about, hey, how are you guys liking X? And you're recovering those snapshots. You're documenting success of the launch. A lot of people sell out, but they never tell publicly to your audience that you've sold out. You need to. These are all positioning plays. In addition to organizing your story highlights, so it's actually recommending to people like, these are the successes that we've had. Here's the past successful launches. When we launch in the future, you should be interested before it sells out, and you can go back to regular posting. But that 4-step system is actually cyclical. So you will see this all the time from me, but now you'll probably be able to call it out. But it's the entire process. So I start off with the content strategy. I'm always experimenting with new messaging and formats that relate to my personal brand. I then build in public. Next, I have a launch plan that goes through the exact sequence that I've just shown you. Then step 4, I do a post-launch plan, and then just repeat that cycle. Creatives that make a lot of money follow this launch plan. Now, Sean went through this from, let's say, a back-end standpoint, but how do you do that so you don't exhaust your audience? How do you do that so you can sell out a 300-person in-person event? Does that make sense for everyone? So everything that we've talked about today is with the goal of doing 2 things. Remember, what were the 2 things? Growing and monetizing. You want to be able to do that simultaneously. This type of launch plan does it for you. Does that make sense for everyone? In terms of urgency, there's obviously limitations around being rooted in truth. If you have physical products, are you talking about limited inventory? If it's a digital product, you might be using limited codes, limited spots, limited time. And what you ultimately want to do is shout out buyers regardless. So even for us, when we're doing Creator Live or we're doing the Creator College cohorts, on our stories, we're posting you guys because we want to highlight our buyers. It makes people want to be involved in the experience. The truth of the matter is, I hope that all of you guys post stories about today's event. And I'm going to repost all of them because I want you guys to be recognized. I want people to fall in love with us and our community. Does that make sense? Here's some stories that you can take snapshots of. So basically, using stories to sell with a low-ticket product doesn't necessarily require as much conviction. So you can get away with just, and this is what Sean was stating, by the way, you can just get away with imagery, and they work really well because imagery tends to have higher story views. So this one states, this is insane, sorry team. I know that's very blurry, but it's basically the team giving, I believe, a 25% discount urgency play to our low-ticket product. Then guess what I'm doing? I'm highlighting demand. Demand. These are demands that I've collected before. Then I'm going into using urgency again. First 500 to use the code CAKE25 will get an extra 25% off. Then guess what I'm doing? I'm shouting out the buyers. Does that make sense? So launch plans, yes, on your feed, but on your stories is just as important. High ticket requires more conviction, and I always talk about the fact that you need passive documentation that goes outside of just the time of launch. So here, passive documentation is stating that this individual, I believe it's Tori, spoke too soon, or no, it's Tara, 64 out of the 100 spots gone. Then this is me stating that Arabella grew about, I think, 100,000 followers during that period of time. In addition, I'm going ahead and showcasing DMs. This is read by Benjamin. It says, I appreciate you. Call was so good today. Thanks for taking so much time and pouring into each of us. I've had several mentors in the past, but none of them understand content at the level you did. Grateful to be a part of the community. So I'm posting that on my story. And then in addition, I'm showcasing different results and transformations the way that Jenna does. You see how that strategy is very different though than, let's say, a low ticket item. And it's important that you recognize this so you're not doing a low ticket strategy for a high ticket product and vice versa. Does that make sense for everyone? As we wind down and as we close, I want to simply give a list of everything that we've covered here today together. We went over what is good versus bad content. Can anyone in the room, I'm going to take 2 volunteers, tell me what is a good piece of content. Tell me what are 2 things that you would look for. Can you raise your hand? So a message and format combination. Anyone else? Features. Yep. Yep, go for it in purple. Value, nice. Then we went over this idea that you are the niche. Then we went over winning content formats, journey versus expert POV. We went over your weekly content plan for step 1 of the launch sequence. Then we went over 4 missions of content, how to make content that converts, and what to post based on your skill level, while ultimately wrapping up with this launch plan. Does that make sense for everyone? Was that helpful for you guys today? I want to state a huge thank you to all of you. This is our very first Creator Live event, and we could not have asked for a better way to kick it off than with all of you right here in this room.